Hey guys, how you doing this afternoon? Welcome to the Bones Collector. Today I'm going to talk about gateway games. It's a term given to games that are introductory games to board gaming, to the hobby of board gaming. But before I get started, I'd like to say thank you, a big shout out to Maui, my friend that came up with that Bones Collector thing at the beginning with the dice rolling and stuff. So thank you, Maui, for that. Mwah. I love you, big fella. So thank you very much for that. The games that I'm going to talk about today, it was very difficult to come up with a list of gateway games because I didn't want to suggest games that you would play a few times and be bored with. And there are a lot of those out there, games that people call gateway games, and they're so simple that they're going to leave your collection immediately. The games that I'm going to talk about and show you today are games that you can learn very quickly, have a lot of fun with, and keep them in your library because, hey, I kept them in mind. There's enough intellectual challenge to these games to make them good every time you play them. And for me and my wife, who is my main board gaming partner, that's very important to us to have an intellectual challenge, to have enough meat on the bone, so to speak, to keep you coming back, to keep that challenge there, so that you're going to continue to enjoy those games. And so with that being said, here we go with some wonderful gateway games that I have in my collection. I'm going to start out with a game called Takeoko. Now Takeoko is a game that it's a tile laying game. It's a game where you're going to receive objectives by drawing cards. The cards are going to give you patterns of how to lay down those tiles, so that that's how you score the points on the card. You're going to build bamboo trees on the board to give you points, and again, those are all on the objective cards. And also you'll be collecting some of those bamboo to get some easier points. But the game is beautiful on the table. I've kept it ever since I've been board gaming. Because of that, it looks great. It's got a lot of challenge to it. You have a little panda bear and a little farmer that you get to move around on the board. And the game never loses its appeal to me. It's one that I think you'll enjoy. Everybody that I've ever talked to that played this game absolutely adores it. And again, look at it. It is adorable. The little panda bear is so cute, and the pieces of the game, it's a great production. See if I can show you here a second. So you got it has a very nice insert in the box. Set this over here. It's got a very nice game insert. You know, you have your tiles that you're going to lay down. These are the bamboo colors. Can you see those? You have a dice that you roll that tells you what the weather's going to be like, and that has an impact on your turn. And so it's very wonderfully produced, very well done, and it's the type of game, again, that has enough challenge that it'll keep you coming back for more. And so it's called Takeoko. That's the first game. The second game I want to talk about is Pandemic. Now, Pandemic is in my top 25 games of all time. If you watched my other video, you'll see this game. There's two versions of the game, Pandemic and Pandemic Iberia. This game is probably, of all the gateway games that I'm talking about in this video, this is the most difficult. And by difficult, I mean it's easy enough to learn, but the challenge is pretty difficult. And but you do it cooperatively. It's a cooperative game, so everybody that's playing the game is on the team, and that makes it just that much easier to learn. So you learn together, and you're fighting against the game together. Pandemic is about the spread of disease. You have a global map of the world, and little cubes that are going to represent diseases that are growing, and as a team, you're required to stop that disease from spreading. And to do so, you have to use variable player powers that you receive for playing certain characters. And this game is the best of the best. In my opinion, I don't know if there's another board game that I've ever played that does what Pandemic does. It is the perfect board game. I call it that all the time because beginners can play it. Experienced gamers want to play it. It's got something for everyone, and man, it's a beautiful thing, and that's difficult to do. Matt Laycock is the board game designer, and he sure has a wonderful brainchild here. And I don't know how many copies of this game has been sold, but it's an enormous amount, and it's been done in so many different versions. I think there's a Cthulhu version, and Rising Tide is one. I think there's even a brand new one out now, but I don't know what the name of it is called. But these are the two best that I played. I even like this better than Pandemic Legacy, this game, for a number of reasons. But Pandemic Iberia is I think it's got a little bit more difficult than regular Pandemic, but either game, you can find these, they're very inexpensive, and you'll play them for the rest of your life. That's how good this game is. So that's Pandemic. Okay. This game is called The Quest for El Dorado. And in The Quest for El Dorado, it's got a variable setup. It's got a modular board. So the board pieces can be set up in different patterns to change the game every time you play it. And that's pretty cool. And then you're going to have a starting deck of cards, a hand of cards that you're going to draw, and that's going to give you movement through the jungles of South America. So you can, first one to El Dorado, of course, with both their meeples wins, both of their adventures, or whatever you want to call it. But you have to get both of those on El Dorado, and that's how you win the game. But you're going to have that starting hand of cards, and then there's also a huge deck of cards with different cards that give you different powers that you can purchase at in a market situation. So it's a deck builder. You're going to start out with a small hand of cards, and then you're going to purchase cards to add to that deck and play those continually. You discard them as you play them, and then once you run out of your cards, you're going to pick them back up, shuffle them, and go through the deck again. So you'll make purchases that give you more powerful cards, and that is just a lot of fun to do. And the game is very quick, and again, I think, what year did this game come out? 2017. It's a fairly new game. The board game designer is Reiner Knizia, and he's done many fabulous games, and this is no different. It's well done, and it's one that Laura and I really like, and we play it as often as we can get it to the table. We've displayed it recently and had a blast doing so. So that is The Quest for El Dorado. Wonderful game. Okay, the next game I want to talk about is Luxor. Luxor, I believe, came out in 2017. It's a Spiel des Jahres nominee for 2018, so that's still right on the box, see? And the designer is Rudiger Dorn, and he's also the designer of Istanbul, which is in my top 50 games all time. I love Istanbul, but I love Luxor too. And in this game, it's just a race to go around a well, not circular, but a like maze type track with tiles on it, and you're going to pick up those tiles for points as you go along. First one to the Pharaoh's tomb gets a bonus, but first one to the Pharaoh's tomb, it doesn't always win the game. You're going to have to pick up certain tiles on the way that give you more points than the people you're playing against, or getting to the tomb won't make any difference. So you're going to have to strategize to do that. And in this game also, there's a wonderful hand management mechanic where you're going to play your card. You have a hand of cards. The cards tell you how you can move and how many spaces you can move, but you can't pick one. You have to use there's a certain mechanic that tells you which card you have to use. So that makes this game even more wonderful. And I got this one off Kickstarter, so I have a couple of expansions in the box that are very nice, but you don't need it. The game itself is meaty enough to keep you busy and to get you introduced to board gaming. And again, it's one that you'll play and enjoy for your whole life. It's a wonderful game. That's Luxor. Okay, this is a game I just came by recently, and when I was at Dice Tower Con last summer, they were playing this game, and I just didn't get a chance. The table was always crowded with people playing it, so I didn't get a chance to sit down and play it, but I happened to come by it on a sale, and I picked it up, and Lori and I brought it home and played it. And I tell you what, it is a lot of fun. It was really designed to introduce, if you're not familiar, there is a game called Scythe, and which is in my game library also. It's a wonderful complex Euro game that was designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Stonemaier Games. But this game, My Little Scythe, is kind of a playoff of that. But the game itself is made for families, and what you're going to do is have a couple of miniature avatars that you move around the board, and on the board there are, up in the corner, there's 8 goals that you have the opportunity to complete. You only have to complete 4 of them, so you have 4 trophies on your player board. As you move those avatars around and collect resources, you're going to complete those objectives, and as soon as you place your 4 trophies on 4 of those 8 objectives, you win the game. And so it teaches resource management, player movement, and those kinds of mechanics in this game. The production's amazing. It has the miniatures in it are beautiful, and I was surprised that it was marketed towards kids. But I would suggest this game for any parents out there that have young children between I don't know, 6 to 12 or even older. And there's enough in this game and enough intellectual challenge in this game that you will enjoy playing it as an adult also. So otherwise I wouldn't suggest it. But this is going to be in my library for a long time. I really like it. It's really pretty to look at. Again, the production's off the charts. It's just a beautiful, beautiful game, and that's My Little Scythe. All right, the last game that I want to talk about is Century Golem. Century Golem is a game there's another version called Century Spice Road. It takes place in a different universe is all, but it's exactly the same game. My wife liked this one a little more because it's got cute monsters, and she likes looking at the art a little more than the theme of the Century Spice Road. But in this game, again, it's resource managing, playing using a hand of cards that give you certain powers, and you're going to collect gemstones. And I have the game right behind me here, but you'll collect gemstones that you see in these. Good job, cameraman. But you collect gemstones, and you're going to exchange those for more valuable gems. It starts out with the yellow being less valuable to the pink gemstones being more valuable. And you are going to play a card that's going to give you the ability to upgrade, or play a card that's going to give you the ability to take some gemstones. And then you're going to purchase from the market some cards, such as this. Can you see that? You should turn that toward me so I can. But and then those cards, you can see it takes 4 green gems, and you get 10 points. And you just keep buying those cards. Once one player has purchased 6 of those cards out of the market, the game is over. That's the end game trigger. So a very fun, very fast game. It takes about a half an hour to play, and that's Century Spice Golem. Wonderful game. Again, very easy to learn, but there's enough there that you will enjoy playing it every time you do. And I tried to do that with this video, is to make sure that in all of these games that it's something that you're not going to get tired of. There's a lot of games out there and you'll see videos of people call them gateway games, and but the games themselves, they play clunky, or they're just so easy that you get sick and tired of it. After 2 or 3 plays, you're like, and it doesn't even appeal to you to do it again. That's not so with the games that I've shown you here. These games you will enjoy and continue to enjoy. And even though I keep a 200 game library here at my house, and I'm going to keep these games in, even though we play some big complex Euros that I thoroughly love to do, but not always. Sometimes I want a game that's a little lighter, or maybe I'm tired from when I come home from work, because like a lot of you, I'm sure, I have a job. So when I come home from work, I don't want to get out a game that's going to take me 3 hours in setup and playtime. So sometimes we just like to throw a game down that's going to take 5 minutes to set it up and a half an hour to play, and that's what these most of these games are, other than Pandemic. That can take you a little while. But the rest of these games play very quickly, and they're easy to learn, and you're going to love them. Take it from the old Bones Collector, I wouldn't lie to you. These games are amazing, and you can feel free to purchase one of them. If you do so and you have a question about anything in one of these games, type it in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer those questions for you. So I guess that's it, and happy gaming. If you have any questions, let me know what they are, and I'll get to them as quick as I possibly can. So have a great day. Happy gaming.